Yeah. Hello everyone, and so today we are going to see the implementing CI with Azure pipelines. So the last sessions, right, we have seen configuring CI with Azure pipelines. So which means like what are all the maybe the steps we need to take before implementing it. So because the one thing, right, so we need to have the source control system, and then we need to have the parallel jobs, and after that we have to configure the agent machine also. So these are all the configurations, right? So that we have seen those topics in the configuring CA with Azure pipelines. And so this session we are going to see implementing continuous integration with Azure pipelines. Okay, so we'll see the agenda for the session today. So we are so first we'll discuss on some kind of overview, like so before implementing it, right? So what are all the pillars in the CA, the continuous integration, and then the benefits. So those things we are going to see, and after that implementing the build strategy. So when it comes to for each stage, right? So for example, the source control, we will call it like branching strategy, and then when it comes to build, the build strategy, and when you are deploying at the time also, we will be calling like deployment strategy. Okay. And so in the CI part, right, the continuous integration, so one of the thing is like we are going to do build. So in that, how we are going to strategy, how we are going to plan a strategy to run the build in very less time. So that and all, it will give some benefits to organization, right? So if you are running for more than 10 minutes or 15 minutes build, so that's not a useful one. So we have to complete the build as small, maybe as less than a time. So that is the main aim of a build strategy with the perfect output also. And then the yesterday we have seen the pipeline, that is we have created the pipeline using a classic editor. So that is the traditional way. And here now we are going to see see some demo about the hello world Azure pipelines. Maybe I have already shown you already, like the Azure pipe for our source code repository, right? We need to have the Azure pipelines.yaml file, and that naming and the extension should be the same. Otherwise, the Azure DevOps server, it can't detect. Okay, and then we are going to see the what is the pipeline structure in a YAML file, and so I have explained you about maybe when we are seeing the introduction, we already discussed that what is the main difference between the classic editor and then the maybe the YAML file. So one of the important feature in a YAML file is like you can create the reusable maybe the reusable task, and that you can inherit it, so that over maybe across the organization we can maintain the consistent. So otherwise, right, the A team will follow this different process and different coding practices, and B team they will do different practices. Okay, but when it comes to DevOps, the every maybe all the team in the organization, right, everyone has to go in the same path. So then only, even maybe the team member, right, you will be here in for the 5 months, and even other team members also will be there in 5 minutes. But at the finally, right, so the core team, if the core DevOps team, whatever the strategy they are giving to you, if you have used that, then if there is any problem with that maybe the pipeline, they will come and help us. And apart from that, even if they are trying to upgrade some kind of pipelines, we can easily do that. But otherwise, right, if you are doing some own strategy, and finally we cannot upgrade to the their maybe the latest pipelines also. So that we have to follow the organization standards what the core DevOps team is suggesting. So maybe when you are a maybe if you are going to a DevOps engineer in a new organization, right? So at the time you have to see whether so there are two things, like application team and then the core DevOps team. Okay, for every application team also, there will be the DevOps member. For example, for every 20 members, or for maybe it could be like for every 4 developers also, we will be having the one DevOps member. And so here rotational work could be like managing the source code, creating the pipeline, everything. Okay, so when you are from the application side, right, so you need to talk with core DevOps team and what is the organization standard, and based on that you have to create the pipeline, and you have to implement the reusable pipelines, everything you have to create that. But suppose sometimes, right, they might be recruiting you for a core DevOps team also. So at the time you will be having work related, like you need to create the reusable function, so that may be used by the application teams later. So you have to understand what so if you're from the application side, right, so you should not take any decision by yourself. So you have to consult with core DevOps team, so then they will suggest you, and exactly what they are doing, so similar like you have to follow. So otherwise, right, maybe in the dev environment, the lower environment, your strategy will work, but when it goes to production, so at the time it won't work. And then if they are saying like why you have followed this one, so at the time we are very late, right, and then everyone they will question you why you haven't checked with them earlier. Because if we are stopping the production and all, it will be highlighted to all the management level, so that it won't be good. Okay, so you have to understand that. So the templates, right, the templates, maybe if you're a startup, or maybe the your core DevOps team member in the enterprise level, so that you will be having access to write the templates. So you will be publishing it once that everything is tested, so that the application team they can use it, the reusable templates they can use it. So for example, now the coding logic will be added in the only one centralized places. Even all the 100 peoples, right, maybe all the 100 teams, so they can just reuse the template. So that's what we are going to see. Okay, and then so this today we are going to see some demo about how we are going to set up the self-hosted agent machine. So that is the one thing. And then the hello world Azure pipelines using YAML, so that one also we are going to maybe run from the Azure DevOps. Maybe in the next session, right, we are going to go some kind of advanced level, maybe the YAML pipelines, like building Java or Python application. Yeah, we can take that one. Okay. So Mebrad, so you have any queries here? Maybe you can ask me, I will respond.
Sure, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we will implement the on the Azure pipeline, the Python also, and we will create a new one, or you have already, we
Yeah.
just use
No,
the
maybe,
file which
yeah,
has
maybe.
been created already.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So for example, right, maybe when we are going the basic, right, so at the time we will create a new pipeline from scratch. But apart from that, right, once you understand the basic, so you can easily take the other latest, maybe the advanced pipeline, and then you can just reuse in your maybe the in your pipeline. Okay, but the once you have implemented the basic, right, because it is something like schema only. Okay, so you know JSON, and JSON, have you worked with JSON?
No, I never work on this end, but that's the plan to use JSON on for CI.
Oh, okay, okay. So maybe,
Yeah,
yeah. So for example, in the earlier, right, so in the application configuration, we will be
right.
mentioning in the XML file. Okay, and then because of the lightweight they have moved to the JSON. Okay, so that the machine also can understand, and the for the human also we can easily understand the configuration very easily. And from the JSON to now most of them they are using the YAML. The YAML also similar like JSON and XML we used earlier, right? So that
Right.
maybe we need to know YAML also. Maybe if you are not knowing the YAML, maybe I will give some introduction. But it is just like maybe the notepad, right? Maybe how we are mentioning the key value pair, and if there is a collection of elements, how we are going to specify. But here the matter is the indentation, that's it. Okay, maybe I will explain you, but I'm just
Oh,
confirming you, but you didn't work with YAML configuration before.
no, not
Okay, okay.
before.
Yeah, yeah. So
Oh,
what I will do is that maybe when we are going to the pipeline, the YAML file, right? So I will explain you maybe the small. It is the basic one only. It's not like very big thing. It's maybe you are not working on it yearly, so that's you are not aware of it. But that is the very simple thing. Okay, so maybe you don't need to
all
worry
right.
on that. Okay.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. So we will get started. Okay. So, for example, in that overview, that the four pillars of CA, right? So, for example, the first one is the version control system, and the second one is the package management system, and the third one is the CA integration system, and the fourth one is the automated build process. Okay. So, for example, maybe. So today Amos and all not joined, right? Maybe he worked in the .NET project. Okay. For the same, for his project also, maybe we need to use all the four system. Okay. But you have said like maybe you are going to work on the automated DB integration, right? Using
Yes.
the red gate. Okay, so in
Yeah.
here also you will be managing your the schema script in the version control system. So you can choose any one of the source code repository like maybe the git or svn or tfs, so anything you can take, but mostly, right, so they will be using the git alone. I think most of, if it is the new, it is the new project, right? So that they will
Yeah.
be using the Git projects only.
That's
So
it.
you need to aware the basic Git command. So we already seen in the previous session, right? Like what is the
Right.
Git init and maybe the pull, push, merge. So those kind of basic Git basic commands you should be aware of. So you know, right? So maybe have you tried any play around with that, maybe? Maybe you can do that. So
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, so you're able to understand, right, what is the working directory, staging directory, and then the local repository. So those things you should be aware of, so before working with git. Okay. And then the package management system. Okay, so for example, I don't know, maybe in your case, right, we won't be installing any kind of packages. So for example, you are going to write the schema file, and then you can directly you can integrate with the CI. For example, maybe this is the DB, this is how the DB will work. But for example, now I am saying the application code. Okay, our Java code is present in the version control system. The next one is, right, so in our version control we will be checking only the source code, and apart from that source code we will be mentioning the dependencies file, like what are all the, maybe the external, maybe the reusable components, right, the public, so maybe there are many third party components, right? So for example, even if you are developing any the if you are consuming the json file from the java application, right? So there are many libraries outside, so that the developer will install the library, and then with that library they will be consuming the json files and all, so that for every operations maybe we will be installing the corresponding the third party library. Okay, so the package management system, what it will do is like, so in your source code you will be mentioning the dependencies, that file, maybe what are all the dependencies you are using. So the package management system, what it will do is like it will install, uninstall, and those kind of operations it will do. So for example, if I am checking the entire code, right, it will be go beyond the 1 MB, 2 MB and all, because if even that is based on the dependencies also. Okay, for example, if I am application using the 100 dependencies, then it will be the very our source code file sizes also it will be go beyond 1 MB, 2 MB, maybe the 100 MB also, more than 100 MB also. That is not good. Okay, so in our source control, we just check in the source code, and then the dependencies in our agent machine only we need to install it based on the maybe the definition we have made in the dependencies.yaml file. Okay, so now you understood, right? So what is the dependent, maybe the package management system. So what it will do is like It will just install or uninstall based on the dependencies files we have mentioned in the source control system. So for example, in the .NET world, right, they will call it like the nugget. Okay, and then in the Java, right, there are two package management tool. So that is actually the Maven and Gradle also, it will work. And maybe in the React world, right, the NPM, the Node Package Manager. So that will help to install the libraries and all. So I don't know, my brother, so because you are new to application, maybe I don't know whether you are understanding or not, but you are clear, right? The package management system, it will just install the dependencies. That's it.
Does notification also include here?
Sorry, come again.
Or, like, let's say if you want to install, set up some management system for example, notification.
Okay, okay. So
Does
maybe
it
then,
include here or not?
yeah, yeah. So the notification and all, it won't come here, my brother. Okay.
Okay.
So for example, this is just
Mhm.
like maybe the notification and all, right? That is the default, maybe the features from the Azure DevOps. Okay. So for that, we don't need to do any kind of the coding or installation and all, because that is the, for
Mhm.
example, I am using some Azure DevOps CI tool. Even if they are not providing the notification, who will work? Because those and all the common thing, right? So that they will provide as the built-in future. Okay, but what we are saying it like, you have the Java code. Okay, so you know the Java, right? You have the Java code,
Mhm.
you need to be installed in some deployment platform. So what you need to do is like, you have to check out the source code, and then you need to install the dependencies. So during the installing the part, right, so at the time you will be having the package management system. Okay, you have check out the source code. Okay, and after that you need to install the dependencies. So in that place, the package management system, it will come to the place. Okay, so for example, maybe in a DB it won't be the case, but in the other application, so we need to install the dependencies. Okay, and after that, in the CA integration system, yeah, so here, right, we are using the tools like Azure DevOps and Bamboo or GitLab, GitHub. So even so, those also will be working like a CI tools, so that it is helping us to merging the code to the main branch actually. So before validating all the code quality check, build everything, if everything is successful, it will allow us to maybe merge the code in the main branch. Okay, and then the next one is maybe the automated build process. So the build process is like, so we have to create the build, and then so in the during the build, right, we will be having the stages like compiling, packaging, and running automated test and all. So for example, in the Redgate also they will be having some kind of command, but maybe that we need to explore it. But even I know that for that DB automation we can use that one, but there also they will be providing some kind of tools. Maybe they will be managing some command line utility. So for example, you are installing Git in your machine, and then you are running some commands, right? So similar like the maybe the Redgate, the client you have to install in your machine, and you have to run some kind of commands, so that it will maybe it will check with the database, and only the incremented updates it will do in the target DB server. Okay, so this is the four pillars actually. Version control system, that is for managing the source code, and package management system, it is helping us to download the dependencies, and then the CA integration system, so that we know like the example is the Azure DevOps and all. And then the automated build process, maybe in so it will create this software build. Maybe in the Java, maybe we can use it like Gradle and all. Maybe in the .NET Core, maybe .NET projects, the MS build. Maybe in the Redgate, right? Maybe you can say like the Redgate tool. So maybe that is the thing. It will comes under the automated build process. So whenever you are checking the maybe the DDL schema file, so it will run some Redgate command, and then after integration integrate with the database, maybe it will do some kind of incremental updates. For example, if there is no changes between the source control the schema you mentioned in the source control, and then um, and then the target DB, so that it won't update anything. Okay, yeah, maybe we will see in that subsequent maybe section. Yeah, maybe you will be understanding it. So currently, right, so you will be understanding the what is the Git is doing, and maybe the what is the Azure DevOps is doing, right? Maybe the in the Azure repos and then Azure pipelines you are aware, right?
Yeah, I mean, but yes, yesterday we create
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Maybe you can just maybe note the keyword maybe my brother. Okay, maybe when I'm doing some installing some packages, right? So at the time you will be
Mm,
understood. Okay,
okay.
and then the what is the benefits. Okay, so improving the code quality based on the rapid feedback. Okay, so for example, normally in a traditional the traditionally, right, what they will do is like from their local machine they will run the build, and then they will manually copy the release build, and then they will be copied into the production server, and there they will deploy it. Okay, so for example, for this entire process, right, it will take maybe more than half an hour or something. That is based on the size of the projects or the number of the projects and all. Okay, but even here, even they don't have any quality tool integrated. So for example, in their maybe in their local machine and all, right, they won't have the sonar code quality tool or the check marks or any kind of tools. They won't have it. And so maybe because, right, so those are all the licensed tool, so they cannot install in their each and every developer's local machine. So if there is some centralized machine, we can install the software so that for all the tools, right, they can be build and scan over there, so that it is single license cost only. But if we are maybe installing in the each and every developer machine, it's not the feasible solution. So that maybe when you're going with the CA, maybe there maybe we are improving the code quality, and then we are getting the instant feedback also. So like once you push the code, you are immediately getting the feedback, so that the developers know that there is a problem with this code, so that I want to maybe fix that one, and maybe after that only they can move it further, so that you are getting the rapid feedback. Okay, and the triggering automated testing for every code change. Okay, so this is to ensure that maybe even the new code does not affect the existing features and all. So that maybe the dev team, right, they wrote some unit test cases and all. For every code change you are just running it, so that maybe if for example some cases it may fail also. For example, they don't know that. So when they are making the coding changing in the maybe the certain file, maybe they are not know that it will affect the functionalities in the maybe some other files, some other class, or some other coding files. Okay, so those things and all we can resolve it effectively when they are writing the unit test cases. Okay, so for example, if they are maybe when they are properly managing the unit test cases and all, so every time we can run in our Azure pipeline. So every time they can run in our Azure pipeline, then they can get to know like if the all the test cases are successful, right? So that we can ensure that yeah, maybe it is not affecting any existing features and all. So that yeah, maybe we are ensuring that existing features also it's not affecting any anything on the existing features. Okay, and better managing technical debt and conducting yeah, code analysis. Okay, the technical depth means maybe when you are doing some kind of maybe the analysis, the scanning analysis tool, right? So it will provide the insights like what are all the code smells, so they are not following the best practices coding standards, and if the code having the so much of duplications, so instead they need to have the right some reusable functions. And there are many things, even whatever the code we are writing, right, so that has to be understandable by all the developers. It's not like because we are writing it so that we know, but so that our code also should be the readable one. So even other developer also once comes in, so that they should be able to read, and the proper comments and all we have to add. So those kind of analysis the tools will do, so that those integration, yeah, we can make it. So we will see the how maybe we can do the how we can integrate the sonar code quality also in the later session. So yeah, because that is the easy one, that is the free tier only, we don't need any subscription. So that yeah, we can use the, we can try to implement the sonar code quality. But maybe, right, so for your case you don't need to write any kind of code quality, because the sonar code quality, it is for the application code, not for the db and all. So the for the db and all we cannot write anything, but for the application code, right, we can just try to integrate, so that even if you are going to any kind of application related project, so it will help. Okay. And then increasing confidence in code base health long before the production deployment. Okay. So here, right, so for example, once the developer is pushed to the branch and everything is passed, and then they have mentioned in, they have merged into the main branch, so that they can maybe they don't need to worry about anything, because that code is we have tested in our local, and then through the build pipeline also it is fine. So that there is no chances of maybe breaking the functionalities and all. So that we don't need to worry anything unless the QA team or they are raising any kind of bugs in the functionality wise. Okay. So that we should not be worry like whether we have written the code, or maybe is there any false cases something. So we don't need to worry anything, because all the, because once the code is passed in our build pipeline, so that yeah, there is no issue with the code, so that they don't need to worry about anything. So that is the confidence maybe we can have it. But when we are going with the traditional and all, right, so there is some problem we cannot know, like until we are scanning it, we don't know. Maybe there and all how they will do is like, maybe the once a year or something, once a month or something, so they will do the code scanning. So at the time we are very late, even even it is finding like there is some coding smells, so we cannot fix the issues at the time. So at the time we are very late, right? So even that time we need to modify the method definition, everything. So that time it could be the big change, so that again the developer needs to invest some time for the coding change, and then the QA team also they have to retest all the functionalities. So that is the big change actually. So that to avoid that, we need to have the year the feedback system. So whenever we are pushing the code, so it has to say within the 5 minutes, there is a problem or not, or these are all the technical depths, so I need to fix it. So those kind of the things. So the CA system, the perfect CA system, it has to provide it. Okay. So so Mibrat, so if you have any queries, or maybe you are from the maybe admin background, right? Maybe I understand that. Maybe you are maybe not aware of the application thing. Maybe if you have any queries there, you can let me know. So even I will try to explain maybe how it's for the admin. So I will try to explain for you as well, because maybe if you, these are the things, right, maybe if you're from the application background you can try to understand that. But maybe the admin also they will be coming into DevOps, because the I have already said, right, so the admin, the infra admin, and then the database developer, and then the developer. So maybe the network engineer, so everyone maybe they can come in work into the device. But initially we need to have some learnings. So and once we learn, so after that we can easily manage it. Okay, so maybe I will, yeah. So the next one is the build strategy. Okay. So for example, the what is the build strategy? We already discussed that. For example, our effective build, maybe the pipeline, right? It has to be completed in a less than a minute. Maybe the it has to complete in a fast, right? Maybe it should not be run like more than 10 minutes or something. So if it is taking so long, we have to reduce the time. So for that we need to see, so whether is there any parallel jobs can be implemented, or maybe the what is the maybe the agent demands. So everything we have to know. Okay, so for example, for your case, my broad, for example, the SQL, maybe the SQL, the DB automation, right? So in your case, so do you think like what are all the maybe the agent machine needs to have to run your code? So for example, the basic criteria, we need to have the git. Okay, then only we can check out the source code base. So in our agent machine we need to have the git. Okay, so the next one is, so for example, let's take like a, Java code. Okay, the Java means we need to have the JDK, the Java development kit, to build our application. And also we need to have the Maven or Gradle, that is the build tool. Okay, the build, the tool also we need to have to build a Java project. Okay, so that is the our agent demand. Like these are all the requirement we need to be there in our agent to run the maybe the CI, all the tasks in the CI for the Java projects. So in your case, right, what we need to have is like the Redgate we need to be installed in the agent machine. And similar like that, the Redgate plugin or the client we need to be installed in the agent machine. Okay, so suppose, right, without the agent machine it will throw like there is no command called Redgate or something, because we need to be configure it. So then only we can see like you can run all the possible commands, the whatever the Redgate is providing. Okay, so that is the agent demand. Before you are writing any kind of build pipeline, you need to know what is the requirement. Okay, so for example, if it is the Java, we need to have the JDK and Maven needs to be installed. And if it is the .NET Core or the .NET projects, we need to install maybe the .NET Framework or .NET Core CLI. And maybe if it is the React project, we need to have install like Node and then npm package manager. So these are all the requirement, the agent demands you need to know. Okay, and similar like in your case, you need to have the git and then the Redgate, so that those two maybe the utilities you want to be installed in the maybe the self-hosted agent machine. So then only yeah, you can run your all the tasks in the pipeline. Okay, so that is the configuring the agent demands. Okay, and the implementing multi-agent builds. Okay, so for example, in a for example, we are running a one big project. Okay, so for example, the first task is checkout, and the next task is like we are compiling the source code. The next one is we are going to run the unit test case, and after that we will be running the source quality check using the Sonar Cube check marks, and then other tools also, maybe whatever the black duck, so all the tools. Okay, so for example, if all the task, right, if you are running the sequential manner, so it will take so long. So for example, the checkout it will take 15 seconds, and then compiling it will take maybe the 5 seconds, and installing the dependencies, maybe that is based on the project, it will take more than 1 minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes also. And then the running unit test cases it will take, so maybe based on the number of the unit test cases in our project, so this one also it will take maybe more than 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Okay, and then the Sonar code quality check, so that also, so that has to be like first it will scan in our local environment, and then it will do all the analysis, and finally it will publish to the Sonar server, and then there we can display the results. So that one also it will take more than 5 minutes. And then cast highlight. So for example, what I'm trying to say, like, so for all the stages, for all the jobs, right, if you are running sequential manner, it will take so long time. Okay, so that we need to know, so is there any so is there any for example, to run this task, is there any dependable task needs to be ran or executed or not. So if there is no any depend, right, so that you can configure the jobs in the parallel. The parallel means you can run in the different agent mission also. So in your A agent mission, it will do the maybe the source code checkout and compiling unit test cases. In your B agent mission, you can just run the source, maybe the sonar cube, the code quality check, so that maybe even the both will take just a 5 minutes. Otherwise, when we are combining in the single agent or single maybe the sequence, it will take 10 minutes. So those kind of the strategy we need to know, because when it comes to the branching and deployment strategy, the build is something small only. How we are going to render parallelly, so before before making it to the parallel jobs, we need to know what is the relationship between the two job. Because right, sometimes some of the task it will get the input from the some other job output. Okay, so we cannot run all the tasks parallelly, but some of the tasks we can do. For example, there is no relation between the sonar cube code quality check and then the maybe the cast highlight or the check mark scan, because there is no maybe the relation, so that there is no depends between the two tasks, so that those two tasks you can run parallelly, so that you can complete the build in a very less than a time. Okay, so Mebrat, so you are clear, right? The agent demands means, so before running the build, so that agent mission we need to be configured, right? Like in your case, maybe the red gate and then the git. So that is maybe the requirement for you. Maybe for my example, maybe the Java project, then I need to have the maybe the JDK, JRE, and Maven and build and all. So then only the Java build will work. So for example, in the SQL Redgo, it is not installed, right? So then definitely even if you are configuring all the Azure pipelines, everything, it can't be run in the agent mission. So that's what I'm trying to say. So you understood, right, Mebrod? So you can,
Yep. Yes.
yeah. So the next one is like maybe the we are going to see some maybe the pipelines. Okay, so earlier I have said, right. So this is the YAML file. Okay, maybe we will see the structure also. The what is the YAML file structure? Maybe the schema we will see later. So for example, this is the name. So the name is like how you are going to name the particular build. Okay, so for example, whenever I'm running the build, by default, right, it will show like build number 1 2 3 4 5 6. So some kind of naming it will provide. Okay, so similar, like it will provide the name like this one, the 1.0.0, and then revision dot r. So this one is they are calling it like the semantic versioning. Okay, so for example, the semantic version. So do you know the semantic versioning? Did you hear, my bro? Did you hear about the semantic versioning?
No.
Okay. So for example, this is the thing, it will help us to version our build or the release basically. Okay. For example, they will provide in the 3 digit, maybe the 3 letter something, 1.0.0. Okay. So the first, this one, right? This bit actually, this is the major version. For example, this points to major, and the second one is the minor, and then the third one is the patch or small bug fix or something. Okay, for example, this is the current release build. Okay, so you have released the first build to the production. Okay, so you are mentioning like 1.0.0. Okay, after that there is some small fixes you are making, so that you are mentioning the build number like 1.0.1. Okay, and after that, so you are updating some minor version. Maybe it's not like a major one. You are just updating the minor update you are adding to the application. So at the time what you will naming it like 1.1.0. Okay, and for example after a sprint or couple of sprint you are going to do some big release after the first release, so that you are going to naming it like 1.2.0.0. Because so this one you understood, right? The first one is the major, the second one is for the minor release, and then the third one is for the maybe the patches or the small bug fixes and all. Okay, so you understood this one, right? So this is called like semantic versioning. So for every release build, right? So they will be they will be naming the build with this one, so that if there is any rollback or the rollback and all, right? So for example, this is your current release 2.0.1. Okay. For example, when you are deploying this version, you are finding some kind of many discrepancies in the production environment. So what you are trying to do is like you are trying to revert back to the previous version. So that is the 2.0.0. Okay. So when you are reverting this release, right, it won't be any big change, because this is the patches only, right? Only the bug fix only, you are just ignoring it. Okay. So that maybe for just when during the rollback kind of scenarios, right, you can compare the both the releases 2.0.0, 2.0.1. Okay. So when we are comparing both, just the patch, the bug fix, the last digit only, it is differing, so that it's not a very big impact to the business. Okay. So for example here, right, you have deployed 2.0.0, but if you are maybe again going back to the 1.1.0 means it is the very very big change. When you're reverting means, right, so there are many big features you are going to remove from the production environment. Okay. Because these are all the,
So is it like,
yeah,
so the first one is like soft rollback kind of thing, or
yeah. So for example, this is how we have to name the build. Okay, the release build and all, right, we have to name the build with the semantic versioning pattern. Okay. But when you're during the rollback scenario, it will help you to identify whether you can which version you can roll back it. Okay. So for example, you have deployed the 2.0.1. So you want to roll back to any one of the version, so which one you will do, which version you will do the rollback? So there is some problem with the 2.0.1, so which version you will do the
so
rollback?
you go like, yeah, I mean, if it's version level, then we need to go like, if it's semantic, you're saying 200,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But is this soft rollback then, or hard rollback will be from 2 to 1 version, which is
Okay.
1.1.0,
Yeah, yeah.
correct?
Yeah, yeah. So for
So I
example,
mean, do we have a scenario of hard rollback and soft rollback here, or it's just semantic versioning, which is like if there is no much impact on the application side, that would be like from version to version, which is from, or what you call it,
yeah.
semantic
Mm,
versioning, like you said, like 201 to 200. But if we roll back from 0.200 to 1.10, which is version level, like from second version to first version, that would be big difference.
yeah,
So is
correct.
it hard rollback we call it, or there is no
Yeah.
such kind of
Yeah,
thing?
that is the based on the, for example, you are saying like from when we are doing 2.0.0 to 1.1.0. Okay. So for example,
Mhm.
so this is your current production version 1.1.0. Okay. Maybe
Yes.
after that you are working for maybe the more than month or 2 month. Okay. So that you are having
Mhm.
the, you are planning to release another one big version, the major version, you are planning to deploy it. Okay. So you are naming the your build like 2.0.0. Okay. you have tried to deploy the 2.0.0. So when you are trying to verify it, it is not working. Okay, so that you have to roll back to the previous working version. The previous working version is 1.1.0, because right, so there is a problem because it is not going live. Okay, the 2.0.0 is not going live, so that you can immediately roll back to the previous version. So at the time we cannot say like maybe the hard rollback or the soft rollback. Maybe in your case, right, when we are doing from 2.0.1 to 1.1.0 means we can say like hard rollback, because already the 2.0.0 is already present. Because right, so currently you have the 2.0.1. Okay, there is a problem, so you have to roll back to the previous working version only. Maybe we should not roll back to the earlier, the older version and all. So you got it, my brother. So how I am trying to say is like,
Yes.
yeah, for example, for every
So whether it's version level or even okay, what do you say like 2.01 to the 2.00 if there is no big still it's semantic versioning, right?
yeah, so for example, right, so there is some kind of for after deploying the 2.0.0, so they are deploying small maybe the UI changes. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
like maybe the button change, the color change, or some kind of small bug fix also. Okay, that is based on the severity, we can naming it like whether this is the patch, it will be, we have to update the patch version or the minor version. Okay, so for
Mm-hmm.
example, you can just consider like there is some small UI change, but it doesn't affect any business, right? So that maybe even if you're not good feeling good with this release bill, you can change it to 2.0.0, so there is no much impact to the business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and some in some scenario also, for example, currently the 2.0.0 is currently working in the production. Okay, so there is some known bug is already there in the production. Okay, the client or business team, everyone, they know that there is some open bug with this particular feature, so that that bug fix only we are going to make it in the 2.0.1. Okay, we have tried to deploy it, but somehow it is not working, so that at least right, the other functionalities it should work, so that we are reverting to the 2.0.0. But other the open bug, right, it will be still open only until we are giving the fix actually.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So this is the semantic versioning, the pattern, member. So most of the team, right? So they will follow this pattern only, like 1.0.0. So this is a three-letter one, right? So the first one will point to major, and then the second one will point to minor, and then the third one is patch. Actual patch or the small bug fix. The small bug fix means like maybe the smaller UI change, or they might be adding some kind of notification business, sorry, notification feature, or the small thing, because it won't update, maybe it won't affect any of the business and all. But the 0.0, maybe there is some small minor release. Okay, so that is up to you only, because we only having the control like how we are going to naming the build. Yeah, maybe otherwise, right, if you're for example, right here, like here it is like the name is like 1.0 and then revision.r. Okay, so until you are changing the maybe the name here like 2.0, it will be naming the build like 1.0.1 2 3 4 5 6, maybe till we are changing it. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
once you know like maybe you are going to make some minor release version, so you have to edit the pipeline, the azure pipelines.yaml file, right? So that one you have to edit like 1.1. Okay, so then it will
Okay.
automatically populate like 1.1.0 1.1.1 and 2 3 4 and so on.
Okay.
So you got it right.
Yeah. So if it's two, then we have to rename it
Yeah,
like
yeah,
2.0 or something. Okay.
yeah. Yeah, otherwise, right? So some here we are using the three letter pattern. Okay, maybe if you
Mm.
are okay with following the two digit, right? Maybe you can say like one dot, and then you can directly copy the version here, one dot and dollar revision dot r, so something like, so here it will be naming the build like 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, because we are just trying to implement the semantic versioning so that it requires the three digit. Okay, but if you are okay to follow the two digit pattern, so you can add the value in the name for like one dot, and then instead of zero we can have only the dollar symbol, and then revision and then dot r.
Right.
So yeah, so that it will incrementally add at the second digit. It won't, maybe we don't have the zero, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how we will name the build actually. But sometimes, right, so some of the team members, they will be for every build they will be following the pattern like our the timestamp, like our build is like 1.0, and apart from that they will append the stamp like the year YYYDDMM, so that for every build, right, whenever it is running, so those the time stamp also we will get that, so that we can easily identify that. So this is the build, it is happening on maybe the today at maybe the 7 o'clock or 7:30 something, we can easily get that. But you, that is based on your convenient only, my brother. Okay, either you can use the semantic versioning, or you can use the name, the date time stamp also, you can just to try to append it. Okay, so there may be some other expressions for using the date time stamp. Okay, maybe that we will see in the next slide actually. But so now you understand, right, so how to name the build actually.
Yes.
Yeah. So and then the next one is the trigger. Okay, so for example how our, when you are pushing the code, right, so how it has to trigger automatically, trigger the build, and maybe the running the unit test cases and those things and all, right, how we want to trigger the particular workflow. Okay, so maybe we can say like maybe whenever the master branch gets the latest code, we have to run the particular build, and then we need to naming it like 1.0 dot maybe one something. Okay, but here you can add the filters also, like you can add the maybe the regex expressions, right, maybe not. So you have any idea on the regex pattern?
I have no any idea on this
Oh,
CIC.
no, 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 no. No, not the CACD, maybe not. Maybe the regex pattern. Maybe I don't know. Like the
No, I
reject.
mean,
Maybe we will be
oh,
mentioning it like.
reflex.
So we need to start the maybe start the trigger only for the name of the branch start with maybe the users or future something. So for example, if you are mentioning the pattern like this one. Okay, for all the branches, it will, for all the branches the name is starting with futures, it will start the build. Okay, so currently we are mentioning like master, right, here we are mentioning
Mm-hmm.
only the master, so that it will start the build only for the master branch automatically. Okay, but in your, maybe in your dev team or someone, they are asking like, so you want to start the build for automatically start the build for all the futures branches, maybe similar like you can provide the release also. Okay, so that it will start the build for all the release branches, features branches. So some kind of filtering you can apply it, that's why I'm saying, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so you can filter the, maybe based this we will, they will be calling it like branch filters, based maybe based on the expressions we are providing it here. So it will maybe start the build or the start the automatic build trigger for only the matched branching name pattern. Okay, yeah. So and then the variables. So for example, when we are running the build, right? For example, so it might require some kind of variables. Maybe for example, if you are taking the bill, if you are taking the bill for dev environment, QA environment, or the production environment, right? So based on the environment we will be changing it. So our source code or the our pipeline will be common, but only we will be changing the variables alone. The maybe those and all the parameterized script, right? We will be just passing the variables alone, the maybe the different variable value. So based on the variable value we are passing it, so it will change it accordingly. Okay, so for example, even in .NET and all, maybe if you are taking maybe the release build or the debug build or something, so when we are deploying in the dev environment something, so at the time we will maybe we will do the maybe the debug or the dev build. Okay, so it will have so much of the features for the debugging, and it will have the maybe for the errors or warning related issues and all, it will print the maybe issues in the console. But when it comes to release build, right, it is the minified version, because when your source code or the binary is very small, so then only your application also will be faster. Because if you are having the very higher, maybe the your build size is somewhat higher, so that definitely maybe your code executions also it will take some time. For example, loading your all your binaries into the stack memory, and after that it needs to run it, right? So that it will take some time. Maybe if it is if it is running for only one time, that is fine. But if the same build is running over for more than 1 month, 2 months and all, right, so that we are somewhat we are wasting so much of the maybe the hardware resources. Okay, so that maybe I'm just saying for an one example actually. Okay, so if there is any the customized variable if you have in our pipeline, so we can provide that in the variables block, so that the name, right, so here they are naming it like Martin. Okay, so the name value whatever we are specifying here, we can be referenced by using the placeholder, and then the by just referring the variable name here. Okay, so for example the variable just this is the place for if there is any variables you can specify it here. Maybe like the data, but mostly, right, here we won't provide any database name or something and all, we won't provide. Mostly what we will provide, like maybe during the build, right, if you are passing any kind of configurations to the applications. Okay, so during the time only we will be using the variables and all. So for example, if there is any configuration you need to apply to the application, so there are many places either you can do in the compile time. Okay, which means like you are directly hard coding the configuration. The next one is build time. So during the build time you can update the configuration. And then the next one is the deployment time. The during the deployment we will pass the configuration. And the next other one is the runtime. So we won't inject any configuration other three. So during the runtime it will fetch the maybe the maybe the password or secrets from the external, maybe the system. Maybe we will write some code there, and then it will get the codes and all from there. Maybe that is the runtime. So you need to know like how we can inject the configuration. You can do in the compile time, and you can do in the build time, and you can do in the deployment time, and another one is the runtime actually. Okay, so the most safest one is like runtime. The compile time means hard coded, so we cannot change it for every environment, so that is the not the good one. But you can go with like either deployment time you can apply the configuration, or the runtime based configuration. The runtime means like it will fetch the maybe the keys and maybe passwords and all from the key vault, or the HashiCorp vault, the HashiCorp vault. So from there, that enterprise level team, they will maintain maybe the passwords and all there. And at the during the runtime it can authenticate with the server, and then it can pull the passwords and all. Okay, so this is how the variable section, and then the pool actually. Okay, The pool means like for example, for this requirement, for this pipeline requirement, maybe I'm here, right? I'm just running the echo and hello world alone, okay? So that we can run this one in any one of the operating system. We don't have any specific reason like we have to choose only in the Ubuntu system, okay? But if really some scenario is there, you can choose the VM image based on that. So for in some workload and all, right? For example, those things we can only perform in the Mac OS alone. Maybe if you are developing some Apple based products, and then because your platform is iOS, okay? Maybe if you want to run some test cases in the same iOS machines, so that definitely you need the iOS operating system. So in those scenarios, you cannot use the Windows or Linux based one, okay? So that, yeah, based on your workload you are choosing in which agent requirement your build has to run, okay? And then the next one is the jobs, like maybe in the pipeline structure, right? You will be having many stages, and under the stages you will have a many job, and the job will have the many steps or the task, okay? So this is something like I'm naming it the job like hello world, and then the maybe in the steps, right? I'm just running the script like echo hello world. So, but this is something basic one. But maybe in a real time scenario, right? Maybe here you might run the Redgate related commands to sync your the changes in your repo and your the data and with your schemas in the database. Okay, so Mebret, so do you have any queries with any one of the block? So this is the name, like how we are going to name the particular build, and then the this one is the trigger, and maybe how your bill has to be auto trigger in which branch, based on which branch it has to trigger, and then the variables, if there is any if there is any customization you have provided, yeah, you can provide the variables, and based on that it will populate it. And then the pool, like you can select the which agent your bill has to run. So what is the requirement, so those things you can provide here. Yeah, this is the job, so this is the where our actual scripts will starts to run, because in our pipeline, right, we can broken into many jobs, like build is one job, and running the unit test case is one job, and maybe the source code, maybe the scanning is one job. So there can be many jobs, okay? So we are going to run in the sequential manner or something, okay? So Mebra, do you have any queries here?
I think I'm good when we do the practical, the
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
hands-on, then feel
yeah,
free to like
yeah.
DM email pull that part. So but we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, sure, my brother. And then, so this is the YAML pattern. So maybe, maybe this is the schema, the Azure DevOps schema, so that maybe after once, after when we are doing the practice, we will get to know. And this is the YAML file actually. Maybe this extension also YAML. Here, like this is the name, the key value pair. How you are going to name the key value pair? This is like a name, and then the colon, and after that we have to provide one space, and then our value. This is how you will be providing the key value pair in the YAML file, okay? And after that, if you want to maintain some collections, okay, like here, right, the trigger colon, and in the next line you will be providing the hyphen, one space, and then master, okay? And otherwise, so for example, you want to trigger for the develop branch also, okay? So at the time, what you will do is like you will enter one new line, and then hyphen, and then you will update like develop. Okay. So this is the collection. The trigger this group, right? This is the collection. Maybe you can say like array or list or something. Okay. If you want to provide maybe the many maybe the collection or something, you have to use the array. So this is how you will be mentioning in array in the uh, yeah, array in the YAML file. Okay. So because you just want to know these two things only, my brother. How you are going to mention the key value, and how you are going to mention the collections. Okay, so for example these are all the sub maybe the nested collections and all. So for example the jobs, right? The jobs can be many jobs, so that is why, so for example this is the hello world job, so that we are having only one job, we are mentioning it here. So in our real time scenario, right? So for example the job we will have many thing. So this is the build, maybe this is the compile job. Okay, and the next job is uh, like the sonar scan. Okay, we will be having the many jobs, right? So this is how we need to mention the jobs. Okay, and here, right, this the job can have the many steps, maybe many the jobs can have steps, the steps can have many script. Like inside that script we can have the many script. Like here, right, you can based on your thing, like you can have many script also, like echo, and then you can mention like maybe again hello, and Tamil or something, or Mebrod, or some kind of scripts you can add it. So this is just a small thing, so we can just adding the hello world. Even if you want to mention 10 hello world, right, so that you have to initiate 10 script thing actually. Okay,
Mhm.
so you
So
understood, right?
here,
Yeah.
like, yeah. So here, like, for example, on the steps, you will have so many scripts. For example, then during the deployment, if one of the steps fail,
Yeah. So if
how
any
it
one of the
works.
steps is failed, right, then actual
Mm.
build also will be failed, and then you will get the trigger
Okay.
notification mail also. So for example, right, maybe in the one
And
of
you
the script.
cannot fix a single, you cannot fix there and then go
No,
from one
no. For
step.
example, yeah. For example, if any build failure, right, it is not mean
Yeah.
like our pipeline is failed. So sometimes your
Mhm.
pipeline also can fail, maybe because of some error with the YAML file, but most of the time, right? So for example, I am running this command as the uh, one script. Okay, may one clean test, which means like this command will run the unit test cases of the Java project. Okay, this is the
Mhm.
command will for it is for running the Java unit test cases. Okay, so that even there is some possibility that the unit test cases can fail, because they have written some methods, so that is making fail of other existing functionalities. So obviously our test cases will fail, in maybe any one of the test cases will fail, so that our entire block will be our entire build will be failed. So that the developer they has to fix the particular unit test cases pattern actually. So now you understood, right? So that maybe when we are running the unit test cases, maybe there actually there is some problem with their code, so that our build is failing, so that the developer has to fix it. And after fix the code, and then when they are merging the code in develop branch, so then again the trigger will automatically happen. And then if that code is fixed correctly, then this script again it will be successful, so that our build also will be successful. So you got it, Mebrod? So for example,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, so if there is
So
any
it's
fail,
just, yeah.
yeah,
So I was thinking, like, let's say sometimes, we deploy like so many scripts,
yeah,
right? But in the case of pipeline here, if we provide many scripts at the step, then if it fails, then it will fail the whole build, meaning that then you have to fix it and start over.
yeah, correct.
Correct?
Yeah. So for example, if the particular script is failed, right, it will mention like the hello world job is failed, because
Yeah.
these scripts pertain under the hello world job, right? So that the hello world job is failed, so that our entire build also will be failed. And when they are going to the maybe the build execution log, they can see that, like maybe for example in your case, right, for example you are running some command redgate, and running some, maybe I'm not sure the exact command, but the red gate, and then maybe update the db. Okay, so for example here maybe this command it will try to connect to the database. Okay, maybe even whatever your username and the password you are providing to connect to the database, right, it may be wrong also. Okay, so that it can't initiate the successful connection. So during the time also it can fail, so that we have to pass the correct valid username and password credentials to connect the database. Okay, my bro. So you are good with the maybe the basic, maybe the Azure pipelines, and then maybe how the YAML pattern is working, right? So this is how we are mentioning the key value, and like if we want to maintain some array or collection, so we have to provide in this way. Like we have to hyphen, and after that one space, and after that the branch name. Okay. So we are going to see pipeline structure, and after that the small idea about the templates, and after that we are going to see the demo of how we can configure the self-hosted agent machine and running the hello world in the Azure pipelines YAML file. Okay, so for example the pipeline structure, you might know, because when we are seeing the hello world application, right, so there itself we have seen that. So the pipeline is broken into many stages, and each stages will have the jobs, and the jobs will have the steps or the script or task. Okay, so for example the stages will run sequentially, but the jobs can run parallelly. So for example, our stage is like code scanning, and under the code scanning stage, we will have a mini coding scanning like check marks, cast highlight, and black duck, and there are many code scanning. Okay, so all those scanning we can configure it as the jobs, so that we can run the many parallel jobs. Okay, so it won't wait for till the previous or the above jobs to be executed. So it will call, maybe all the jobs will be run parallelly. So that's what we have discussed in the last session. And then the task, this is the basic building block of maybe the particular unit. So for example we have the maybe the script and all, right, so those and all will be comes under the task. So under the job we will have the many script or the steps, so it will be called as the task. Okay, and then this is the YAML schema. So for example this is the schema we have to follow when we are writing any the Azure pipelines file. Okay, so for example this is the build numbering format, uh, the name key, right, this is the build numbering format, and under that the resources. Okay, so what are all the resources for our Azure pipeline? Okay, so for example sometime we will refer the other pipelines the artifact. Okay, we will be using in our pipeline, so that we will be mentioning in the pipelines key here. Okay, and the next one is the containers. Okay, so for example sometimes we will be providing the image name there. So within that image we will have all the requirements of the all the requirements for our builds to be executed. So for example if it is the Java project, all the Maven, Java, and all the utilities needed for building the Java project, right, so that will be wrapped under the image. So we will be providing here, so that when the build is started, the automatically do in the agent mission the containers will be created, and inside that containers we will be doing the checkout and all the kind of scanning and all we will do. Okay, and then the repositories, and maybe sometimes the Azure repos or GitHub. So maybe what is the repository name, so that one we will be providing it here. Okay, and then the variables also we have seen, like if there is any customization we have done in the Azure pipelines, so for that one we can provide the variables in this variables block. Okay, and then the trigger also we know, like based on which branch we have to run the automatic trigger or automatic build. Okay, and the next one is the PR. So maybe in the earlier session, maybe in that Azure repos, we have seen the merge request and pull request and all, right? So we will be when we are merging from source branch to destination branch, we will be raising the PR. So when we are raising the PR to the particular branch, it will automatically trigger the build. Okay, so so that also we can mention it here. Okay, and then the here it is like stages, and maybe I don't know, it will be hided. So for example, here it is the stages, right? Like that we will be having the mini stage, and maybe under the stage we will have the many jobs and all. Okay, and here maybe instead of specifying the, maybe we can create the own stage in the pipeline, or otherwise we can refer the templates also, the whatever the stage template, right? So that one also we can refer it. So for all the common stages, we can be specified in the one stages.yaml file, and that part we can refer in the we can just refer the YAML file, so that all the reusable stages will be inherited in this pipeline as well. Okay, the name is for build numbering part, and the resources for what are all the resources we are using. So mostly there are three kind of resources. This is the pipeline. So these pipelines where we are mentioning, if we are using the artifact of any other pipelines, we can mention the pipeline name here, and then the containers we will be providing the image name, so that when the build is started, the automatically the agent machine will start the particular container, so that we don't need to do extra any other agent setup and all. So we can run in any one of the environment. And then the repositories, maybe based on our git repository, which repository we have to clone for this the particular build, so that we can specify. And then variables for the variable session, and then the trigger for like how we want to trigger the build, and the PR. So for example, if you are raising the PR for any specific branch, we can run it. And then the stages we know, like we can write own stages in the pipelines file, or otherwise we can reference from the stage template also. So this is the reusable one. Maybe we can see it in the next slide. Okay, so maybe so you have any queries in the structure here?
No, so the template reference will be
Yeah,
temporary, and
yeah,
then let's say if we want to make it a permanent, then we have to push it to stage and then to master format.
yeah. So for example, the template, this is the reusable one. Okay, so for example, you are having many maybe Java pipelines. So for example, compiling the stage and then the code scanning. So all the steps you will be following the common in all the projects. So even you won't change any one of the single command also. But only the thing is, you will obviously you will change the project name. Apart from the project name, for all the pipeline code and the job and the steps, everything will be same. Okay, in this scenario, what you will be doing it, like you will be creating the separate stage template file, and there you will copy all the reusable components, and once it is created, and you will be just referring the path of the template file, so that it will be inherited in the Azure Pipelines YAML file also.
Yeah, got it.
Okay, yeah, maybe in the next one, right? Yeah, we'll see that one. Okay, so this is the templates. Okay, and basically the Azure DevOps, right? They are allowing us to create the template file for stages, jobs, steps, and variable. Okay, even variable also, right? You can make it in the separate YAML file. So all those things you can create a separate YAML file, and based on that you can, for example, when you are want to maintain, when you want to create the stages, at the time you can just refer the stages, maybe the particular YAML file, and whatever the parameters you have to pass, that one you have to pass it. Okay, so for example, this is applies to all the components like stages, jobs, tasks, and then the variables also. Like earlier we have provided the name, right? So there also we can provide maybe the DB connection name, username, but password we should not mention in the variable. But other the basic it's a non-sensitive configuration, right? Those things and all we can mention in the templates. Okay, maybe you can just think like this is the some basic introduction for our today's session, but we can see it in the maybe in depth in the maybe upcoming sessions when we are doing some real time maybe play around and all. Okay, maybe at the time we will show like maybe we will be having the three files. One is for the stages and another one is for the jobs and another one is for steps, and how we are integrating in our azure pipelines.yaml file. So that one we can see it later, but for now you can just try to understand like the template is for reusing writing the reusable components. So in azure devops we can write the reusable components for the stages, jobs, steps, and variables. Okay, and maybe when here, right? uh, yeah, here at this place, right, we have to mention the stages. Okay, so instead of writing our own stage, we can just write the path of our pipeline, the template file, so that all the stages we mention in the template file will be inherited in this current pipelines file. We just need to pass the variables or parameters alone. So you got it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then the PR, maybe that one we didn't use in earlier session. The PR is for maybe if you want to run the automated build for some of the branches when the developer is raising the pull request. So at the time it will run the build actually. But apart from that, the trigger and then PR is same. So trigger is for the branch level, and if you want to run the build when they are raising the pull request for some specific branch, then we need to run this build. So maybe you know what is the pull request, right? Like the developer is will be working on the future branch, and when they have completed the code, they will raising the pull request to merge into main branch like master branch. So at the time they will be raising the pull request from future branch to master branch. So that is the pull request. So during the time, the maybe the code reviewer will review the code, and if everything is okay, they will approve it, and after
Yeah,
that you will be able to merge the code. So that you know, right? So that is what the pull request.
okay.
Okay, maybe
But
here.
before
Yeah,
before merge is we need to deploy it on dev or UAT
yeah, for
environment.
example,
Or
yeah, so currently you are working on some feature. Okay, so that
right.
one, right? Maybe you have to test it in the dev environment first before you are merging the pull request. If everything is working fine, then only you have to raise the PR to the merge into the main branch. Okay, with your future branch you should not deploy into the UAT and all. For with your future branch, so you can test in your dev environment. Okay, and once that is merged into main the master branch, you can be run the deployment to the QA, UAT, and production and all. You should not be deploy your code to any of the higher environment from your temporary branches, the future and hard fix, bug fix and all, right? That is the temporary branches. Okay, from your long lived branches only you should run the other environments build. But for the future branch, you maybe for your dev environment deployment and all, right, you can do from your
Right.
local environment and also from your temporary branches also, just for doing the dev testing.
Mhm.
Okay, you got it, right?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, so
Hopefully, no, we will. The plan is to for us to work on production for the future. So hopefully, all this like merging the pool and everything will be complete prior to deployment for prod. So I think that
yeah.
will be yeah.
Yeah, maybe that we can see it in the real time action so that you will be understanding. So for example,
Right.
in this by this session, right, maybe you will know what is the DevOps, and then the source code, maybe the git knowledge you would have, and then the
Yeah.
pipelines also you will be having the basic knowledge, so that from tomorrow
Mhm.
onwards we can directly search some kind of trials. So even initially you will be facing some kind of errors, but maybe when you are facing some issues, you will have a more and more understanding about the pipelines and all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one is the demo part. So how we can configure the self-hosted agent machine setup. So that like, so for example, when you are configuring the build, right, you can use the Microsoft hosted agent machine. Okay, there we cannot do much maybe the customization and all we cannot have it. So for example, when you are going with the Redgate installation, so obviously they won't have the utility installed in their agent mission, because that is a very rare scenario. But apart from that, they will be having the Node, Java, .NET, Python, everything they will be installed, because they know that like many of the team they will be installing it. Maybe they will be using for the build. But the Redgate and all somewhat very rare scenario. Maybe I'm not sure they will have or not. But mostly if they have, that is fine. But otherwise you have to go with the self-hosted agent machine setup. Okay, so for example, in the self-hosted agent machine setup, right, you can have the VM in your cloud environment, or also in your local environment also. Okay, so we'll see how we can configure it now. Okay, the self-hosted agent machine. So first, right, I'm logging into the DevOps portal. So here, right, maybe in the right top, uh, you will be having some user icon. Okay, so from this user icon you can get the personal access token. So they will be mentioning it like a pad token. Okay, so you have to generate the pad token, because whenever you are authenticating with the Azure DevOps, right, you will be using your Microsoft account credentials. Okay, but how the system will do the authentication? So we cannot provide our credentials to use for authentication, right? That is not the good practice. So what we should do is like, we have to generate some temporary token for we can set up some expiration time also there, and we can generate some token, and with the token we will be able to log in and all. Okay. Maybe we will be able to authenticate our agent machine to our Azure DevOps server. Okay, so you got it right. So what is SaaS token and all, Mebrod?
Yeah. So is this like a group level access token or individual actually, right?
No, no, no. It is
You
not
just
like a
provide.
group or a user level. This is just
Mm-hmm.
for the authenticating between the system to system.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, so this is where maybe the this one will
From
comes to
machine,
the picture.
okay.
Okay,
From dev up to
yeah,
other,
maybe our agent machine is the VM, right? From VM to
right.
ADO server, how the system to system
Oh, okay.
communication. Okay, maybe here I'm just providing like maybe
Server
agent,
name.
yeah, agent. Maybe that the name can be anything. Maybe you can provide the
Mm-hmm.
VM name also. Okay, maybe
Okay.
agent 01 I'm providing, and this is the organization. I am setting the expiration for the 30 days. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can provide like authorize the scope of the access associated with this token, like maybe the on the work items, right? Maybe on the work items, what are all the things this token will have? I think we don't know the work items and all, right? The agent mission, it is not going to update anything on the work items level. Okay, and then
Mm-hmm.
the code also you should not have any, but anyway it needs to have the read access. Maybe it needs to have
Access.
the
Okay.
pull the git repo, right? So those access and all it should
Yeah.
have. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and after that build, maybe the read and write, so those things we can add. And then the release, okay, the packaging, so based on our thing, yeah, we can provide
So
it.
it will be only read access because how about if it's push and on pull,
Yeah, yeah, for
to do
example,
that?
right,
So read write.
yeah, for example, for the packaging, right, the agent mission
Mm-hmm.
only will publish the package and all from the agent mission to our
Right.
ADO server. At the time, it needs to have
Mm-hmm.
the read and write also.
Right.
Okay, but sometimes, right, sometimes it will for example, it will read the maybe the artifacts from the other pipelines, so that we need to just to
Mm.
have the read. Okay, maybe there are many scopes, maybe there are many scopes, right? Maybe we can, based on that we can decide, but but otherwise, right, but currently I'm just providing the full access. Okay, because there are many things, so maybe we don't want to deep into the each and every access level. Okay, maybe that we can do some research, maybe like what is the read and write, but we know like what is the work item. For example, the queries backlog and all, we don't need to be update anything there. Okay, so just I'm not providing anything, but we don't, because there are some meaning, the inner meaning also, but just to for avoiding that one, I'm just providing the full access. Maybe when you are coming into such scenario, you can go and read each and every access level, and then what are all the access level it is needed, you can provide basic based on the project requirement. Okay, so sometimes it
I
may
think
need,
it,
yeah,
yeah, I think if possible, it's better to give like read access than in on the way if we want to work something when
yeah,
then it might fail,
yeah, yeah,
that we will know that
yeah.
what
So for
needs to
example,
be
right, that
provided.
everything is based on the our requirement only, member. So for example, right, uh,
Yeah,
maybe if you want to check out, just like read access is fine. Okay, so for
yeah,
example, I need to update that git tag automatically from the pipeline. So for example, for the particular commit, right, for the git commit, I have to create the release tag version. So basically I need to create the tag. So at the time, right, this is something like write operation. So this token needs to have the write access also. So that is based on how what are all the steps we are going to have in our pipeline. So based on that we can select the permission, or otherwise we can provide the full permission also. So that also fine. Okay, maybe if you are maintaining the least privilege access control, so that is good, but for the learning purpose, right, we can go ahead with full access. Okay, maybe otherwise, right, maybe we will be thinking like this access we don't need, but in maybe in the back end, maybe it might try to use the access also, it will fail, so it will again we need to do some uh, trial and base and all we have to work, but to just avoid that, I am just selecting the full access. Okay,
all right.
so now, right, so this is the token. Maybe once we yeah, so this is the one time only we will see the token, so we have to copy it and then we need to store it in somewhere. So once it is lost, maybe we cannot revert back to the same token again. So otherwise, right, we need to update the new token only. Okay, so
So
one,
okay.
one time only we will
So
be
after
seeing
we
that.
copy, okay.
Yeah.
So do you have to copy and then do you have to provide some access using this
No, no,
on
no.
your VM or no?
Yeah, yeah, maybe I will show. For example, the
Mhm.
first step is the token we have generated.
Right.
Okay, so the next one is we have to install the utilities. So for that, for example, I am just configuring my local machine as uh, the agent machine. Okay, so for that, I
Okay.
have to go to project settings, and then here we have the agent pools, right? I have to go to agent pools.
Mhm.
I need to click on the default and azure pipelines. So this is the default pipelines that is provided by the Microsoft. Okay, and I
Okay.
want to add the customized, maybe our own self hosted, right? So that I have to click on the default, or otherwise you can create the new pool also, but currently I'm going to the default one. Okay, I am here, I am here, there is no agent. Okay, and I am just clicking on the creating a new agent. Okay, so here they are saying like the requirement is for example, this is for the 64-bit machine for the Windows operating system. So for if your machine is the Mac OS, so these are all the steps you have to do, and this is for the Linux machine. Okay, my machine is the Windows 64-bit, so that what I have to do is like uh, yeah, I think here they are maintaining some steps. Maybe anyway we have to install the agent. So this is around 150 MB, right? So it will take some time. And once it is
Okay.
downloaded, we have to run these following commands. Okay, like we have to create one. Uh, we have to create one folder called agent, and then we need to go to the particular directory, and then we need to run this command actually in the PowerShell. So maybe you are working in the maybe admin, right? So you know how to run the PowerShell commands and all. Maybe you are working with the command line and all, right? Command line or PowerShell or
Okay.
anything.
Mm.
Yeah,
So, but it's asking, okay, then after you run this, where do you have to provide uh,
the
the,
token.
the token?
Yeah. So for example here, right, in the password we can provide, I guess, configure the agent. Yeah, here we are generating it, and then agent for the scope, I think we have to choose agent pools read and manage, and group read and manage. Okay, confirm the user permissions. Agent pools, I think we have to go to security, and then we have to go to organization and agent pools default, and yeah, click on the new agent, get the agent
With the
dialog box
agent.
in Windows, and we need to download it based on the 32-bit 64-bit, right? We have to choose the
Right.
utility file, we have to download it, and then yeah, we have to create some agent file, right? And unpack the agents, like for example this is the file we have created, right? We have to unzip it and make sure that the path to the directory contains no spaces, because tools and scripts don't always properly skip spaces. Okay, maybe my requirement is like for example currently I need to go to C drive, and then I will be creating a one folder called agent.
Mhm.
Okay, and then I will be maybe here they are saying like agents, so that is fine, maybe we can just rename it. And after that we need to unpack the executables, right? So I'm just copying this one, and so I'm just yeah, extracting this one. I think mostly, right, I think inside the bin we will have the all the executables. uh,
Mhm.
I think node and all I saw somewhere, it is inside the bin, it is not there. And yeah, so here, right, for example the node git and all, it is copying the installation path here. Okay, so similar, like maybe if you want to add any another capability like the red gate or something, we have to create the path. Maybe we have to copy the folder here, and inside that we need to copy the utility, the red gate utility something, so that our agent machine can use this path, and then it will run the commands and all. So for example, right here the git is installed because we don't need to do anything for the git, because it is
Okay.
already copied the all the commands. So the next step is currently, right, so here we have uh, extracted. So the next one is then extracting in the download folder or other, then run
Right.
config.empty. This will ask you series of questions to configure the agent. Okay, maybe,
Like from,
yeah,
let's see.
maybe what I'm doing it like I'm just opening the CMD in the administrator mode, because this is something listen, right? So I'm just opening it as the administrator. Okay, I need to go to the the particular path.
Mhm.
Okay, now I am in the particular path. I'm just listing this one. I'm having these many comments and all, right?
Right. Okay.
So now I want to run this one.
Okay.
Maybe I don't know. This is the command for Windows. We can just config.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, I think the run keyword it is working. So we have to run this error exported in the dialog.
Mhm.
Please examine the log for more details. Agent not configured. See agents. Okay. Maybe this is my local machine, right? I don't know. Maybe we need to agent package running. What is the error? Yeah, right error. Okay.
Visual Studio.
Microsoft listener configuration log. I think right error. System invalid IO operation not configured. Not right error. I think I don't know this. This is not having the right permission on some kind of sensitive
So
places.
I think did you give it somewhere like it shows like read and manage access?
No, I think anyway, right? We have provided the uh, full access only. So we are not selecting any individual access, right? So we have
Mhm.
provided the full access only, and
Okay.
so I think mostly right, maybe what we can do right. Otherwise, maybe this is my local mission. For example, I am not installing any Visual Studio or even the .NET framework. Anything is not up to dated one. So what we can do is like otherwise we will create a one a virtual machine. The maybe the this is the Windows. For example, right. This is the OS is Windows Home Edition. It is not the Windows 10 Pro also. Okay, maybe there we have to be configured in the Windows Server. Maybe that one also may be one of the requirement. Okay, because right, so our maybe our desktop and all it is just for the personal use. It is not mean for the maybe the agent machine configuration and all. Maybe that also could be one reason. So we have to configure it in the Windows Server OS, not in the Windows 10 Home and Pro related OS and all. It is having some less capabilities only, right, with compared to servers and all. So maybe what we can do is like maybe you can also maybe you know the steps, right? You can just try it in your machine, and then we'll see whether we are able to configure it. Maybe there could be some error, maybe if it is the simple thing, and after that we will just try to create a one VM in Azure, and there we can configure that particular VM as the agent machine. So maybe there we can create the Windows Server 2019 as the maybe the VM. So I think currently right now we cannot do that one because my mission is just like Windows 10 Home Edition only, home for the OS. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, maybe error terminal write error and error record not configured, invalid operation exception not configured. But anyway, right, this one we have configured. So maybe in the meantime, can you try by in your machine, Mebrod? Maybe I think I will. Maybe if you are
Oh,
not having the token, right, I will pass you.
so we don't have, like the environment set up yet.
No, no, no. Maybe you
Mm.
have a Windows machine, right? Maybe from where you are
Oh, in
connected.
my local, you mean?
Yeah, yeah. In my local
Oh,
in
yeah. Yeah, I can try that. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, my brat. Maybe it will take some time, right? But mostly, right, this is the step, my brat. So we need to create the PAT token, the personal access token, and after that, maybe we need to install the executable, and we need to run it. And after that, right, when we are running the setup, maybe when we are running maybe otherwise, right? One of the reason also maybe they are asking to run these commands and all using the PowerShell, but I am running in the uh, I am running in the command prompt. Maybe that also could be one reason. You got it right?
Yeah. Can you share me that URL
URL.
from agent? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have posted that URL in chat.
Mhm.
Maybe if you want the token, right? Maybe if you want the token, that one also I will pass now. For example, this is the token, and maybe the during the setup, right? It will ask you um, the organization, the URL. Okay, so that one we have to provide. Um,
Okay.
I think this is our URL. Yeah. So maybe I will just try to maybe we can try run config dot. Okay, I think we need to run dot cmd or then run con this then run config. This will ask a series of questions. We strongly recommend you configure agent from elevated PowerShell window. If you want to configure as a service, this is required. Okay, so I think we need to use the. Yeah, I think Mebrat, can you see here?
Working.
I think here it is asking
Yeah.
some credentials and all. So here we have to provide the. I think what is our. This is something I have kept like.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Okay.
and then we have to provide the token. So enter a valid value for authentication type. Press enter for pat. Okay, enter authentication type. Press enter. Okay, our is personal access token, right? I will just press
Mhm.
enter. Maybe I will provide. Okay, I think here only we need to choose the. Yeah, it is trying to connect to the server.
Okay.
Connecting
Yeah.
it. Enter agent pool. Press enter for default because our pool, our agent machine, we have selected default only, right? So we can select the
Right.
default and then enter a agent name. Maybe we can, I think we have mentioned like agent 01, right? I think
Yeah.
so inside that agent pools default. Okay, yeah, maybe we can, I think it will automatically create, I guess. Maybe we can just to pass it like agent 01, scanning for tool capabilities. Error reported in diagnostic logs. Please examine the log for more details. Okay. Access denied. Tamil Selvan Sellapan needs manage permission for perform the action.
Good.
I think I am already the DevOps administrator only, right? Try again, or because right? I think here in the security grant permission to all pipelines. Okay, maybe we'll run again. Again. Okay, but
how does it related?
But actually, right, it is showing like maybe user level permission. Maybe Tamil Selvan, Sellapan. Okay. And here I am saying like project administrator. Okay. Cannot modify the role for Selva. Please try with different identity. But I'm already the administrator, right? So what needs manage permissions for pool default to perform the actions? So here agent pools and then default and security. I think this access the pad token, right? Okay, maybe can we generate the new token because just now I have added the permission, right? So that maybe we need to get the new token maybe
Oh,
because right
okay.
I just provided the permission. So maybe we can regenerate it.
Mm.
Maybe we will press Control plus C. We will start as a new one. So here So, okay, my brother, I think we are almost,
Yeah,
I think time
maybe
is over.
unfortunately.
Yeah, maybe for you, it may be very late night to you, right? Yeah, okay, my brother, maybe this
Okay.
is the final try. 1 minute. Please enter for default. Okay. Name. Okay, maybe this one we can leave it as the default. I think why, yeah, the same error, my bro. Yeah. Okay, my bro. Maybe we'll see
Okay.
this error maybe tomorrow because we are almost there, right? I think because of the permissions issues only, it's somewhere blocking it. Yeah, maybe we will resolve. We will see that one tomorrow. Maybe we'll create some VM in Azure and then we'll try. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, my
Okay,
bro.
good night.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night. Bye.
Bye.